No one will hear you scream. No one will hear you scream.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy JG Tennis back with another video. So today I am going to be talking about some fantasy QB stories that I made up. This was from like a game that I did when I was bored at the house, and I made up these colleges and did the games and basically my own universe for us, just like my heroes and stuff. You know what I mean? So, of course, let me tell you about a career of a quarterback from a team I made called the Kingston Raiders. So let's go ahead. Would y'all love to hear about the quarterback from the Kingston Raiders? What's his story? So let's go. In his freshman year in 2017, he got Kingston to a 8-4 regular season record, with even making their conference championship against Downtown, but lost to them. He then won the Heisman and won their bowl game, and they went 9-5 that year. A nice start to his year, right? That's a strong freshman campaign season, right? So he led Kingston to an 8-4 regular season, reached the conference championship, and even though they lost to Downtown, he still won the Heisman and the bowl game to finish 9-5. That's impressive for a first-year quarterback. So what happened in the sophomore year or season? In his sophomore year of college, he led them to an 11-win season, losing in the conference championship against Downtown again, and then losing in the bowl game, which they went 11-3. So in his sophomore season, he built on that freshman success, leading Kingston to an impressive 11-3 record, even though they fell short in both the conference championship against Downtown and the bowl game. That shows real consistency and leadership. So he had, like, I call that in baccalaureate, but we can say his junior year for right now. In junior year, his team started 5-2, but then it's now 5-6, right? They went from 5-2 ranked to 5-6. They were the last team to be bowl eligible, where they would go on the road against a 6-5 Fultondale, and when they would dominate 52-20 to go 6-6. Then they won their bowl game against Crestwood 30-27 on a game-winning field goal. That's a great redemption story for his junior year, starting strong at 5-2, then hitting a rough patch to drop to 5-6, barely sneaking into bowl eligibility, but then he leads Kingston to a dominant 52-20 road win over Fultondale and caps it off with a thrilling 30-27 bowl victory over Crestwood on a game-winning field goal. That's the kind of season that shows grit and leadership under pressure. How did things go as a senior? In 2020, Kingston went 9-3 in the regular season, then lost the bowl game. So in his senior year, 2020, he led Kingston to another strong 9-3 regular season, a real bounce back from the struggles of the previous year, but unfortunately fell short in the bowl game. Still, finishing his college career with 4 straight winning seasons, multiple conference championship appearances, a Heisman, and several bowl wins is an impressive legacy. Would you like me to summarize his full career like a sports article or floor bio? No, because he had a 5th year. In my game, they have 5 years. They can go 5 years. In his 5th year, they won 10 games and lost 3, and they won the bowl game to go 11-3. Or I think, yeah, that's the perfect way to end his college career. A 10-3 record and a bowl game victory in his 5th year. After all the ups and downs, he finished strong, leaving Kingston as one of their most successful quarterbacks ever. Would you like me to go over a career summary? No, because I got 2 more quarterback stories to talk about, and we'll get it on. Let's go. So now I want to talk about some redshirt college football players in my fantasy football game. The teams and games that I made. So, bet. Sounds fun, right? I'm in. Y'all are in. Let's talk about my redshirt college football players and the fantasy style teams and the games I created. To jump in, I'm going to tell you these things. Y'all ready? So, one is on a team I call the West End Panthers, and they had a quarterback who was there as a freshman since 2015. He was a backup to a legend who had won the Heisman in 2013 as a freshman, and then set records from there and even won his last bowl game in 2017 as a senior. In 2018, he was now the starter when he was the backup from 2015 to 17, and he did okay his first year, but there was a lot of great players above, and he got them to a 9-4 record, including the bowl win, to get them that 9th win of the year. Then in 2019, he had an okay year as well, but when they were 8-4, they lost their bowl game and went 8-5. If he were to gone pro, he would have probably been a 3rd or 4th round pick. But instead of going pro, he decided to use his last year of eligibility. He would come back in COVID year for 2020, and I will tell you what happened. Oh yeah, this is a great setup already, right? It feels very real, like a true college football arc. Let's get the story straight. So, the legend, right? The legend before him, the West End Panthers QB, Quiver, so forth. 2015 to 2017 is the waiting years, right? Arrived as a freshman in 2015, back up to a program legend who won the Heisman as a freshman in 2013, set school and possibly national records, finished with a bowl win in 2017 as a senior. This is when our QB sits, develops, learns, classic redshirt backup / story. / backup story. So in 2018, his first year as a starter. First season starting after 3 years as a backup. Team goes 9-4, includes bowl win for the 9th victory. Individual season, solid, not spectacular. So here's the context that matter. Several elite QBs and teams ahead of him nationally, not in Heisman or playoff combo, but clearly successful. 2019 was the plateau year. Another okay season statistically. Team finishes 8-5, enter bowl game at 8-4, lost the bowl game. Draft outlook 3rd, 4th round projection. Good tape, but not a can't miss prospect. So his decision. He decided to make a decision that would change him forever. And he said, instead of going pro yet, he returns for a final year of eligibility, comes back for the COVID 2020 season. And this is what I did during COVID year when I was bored, by the way. I mean, I've been doing this since 2014 actually. And I've been bored a lot, but I'm still doing. So it screams loyalty, unfinished business, and a chance at a legacy-defining year. So now I'm going to tell you what happens in 2020. And everyone who has played in my game goes to the pros, by the way. Either some get extra years of eligibility or go pro their 3rd, 4th, or final year. Got it. So that's an important rule of your units. It makes the storyline cleaner and more realistic. League rule. Everyone eventually goes pro. Players either leave early after 3rd or 4th year or use full eligibility / extra COVID year, then go pro. No what if he didn't make it endings, just different draft paths. That means for his Western Panthers QB, his choice to return in 2020 is about making the NFL. It's about improving draft stock, cementing a legacy. Now he's remembered compared to the legend before him. At the jump points, he's basically a floor, mid-round NFL QB. Ceiling jumps into day 2 or even sneaks late first with the right year. Narrative pressure, forever compared to the 2013 Heisman legend. The COVID year is huge in your setup because extra eligibility, weird schedules, opt-outs. Sure. So let's talk about his 2020 season. So, in 2020, he is coming into the season ready, as usual. The season starts in August, but it started a little bit later. The season usually starts in August, but it started a little bit later in September. His team starts out 3-0, but then they lose to a ranked East Endsley Bengals. Then they win again and are 4-1, ranked number 16, about to go up against the 7th ranked Inslee Seahawks at home. He puts on one of his best performances ever, and then it was a great game. Inslee had scored first, and then Weston went on a run, scoring 5 touchdowns, which gave him the 35. It was then 35-14 at the end of the third quarter, and Inslee came back to make it 35 all. And when they had a chance to run the clock for a field goal chance, Inslee fumbled the ball, and then with seconds left to go, the Weston QB runs a long touchdown to score the game winner, and Weston upsets Inslee and are now 5-1. Oh yeah, this is the game that changes everything. It feels like the moment where his career separates from just solid starter to program legend in his own right. So the 2020 season, the defining game. Context: COVID season, delayed start September. Veteran QB final year carrying the weight of following a Heisman legend. 2 good but not great seasons. Mid-round draft projection. Start of the season, 3-0 start. Steady, confident. First loss to ranked Inslee Bengals. Not a bad loss, quality opponent. Didn't have a bounce back win, 4-1. Weston jumps to 16. Now comes the test. Number 16 versus number 7 Inslee. They're at home. This is a statement home game. Game flow. Inslee strikes first. The crowd is nervous. Then Weston explodes. 5 straight touchdowns, 35-14 by the end of the third quarter. Momentum swings hard. Inslee storms back, ties it 35-35. Feels like the classic almost moment. The turning point. Inslee plays it safe, trying to drain the clock, set up a field goal, game-winning field goal, fumble. This is where legends are born. Final seconds, no time to overthink. QB tucks it and takes off, long touchdown run, walk-off win. Weston wins 41-35 actually. What this game means. For the QB, the best performance of his career, signature moment, pose, athleticism, clutch gene. No longer the guy after the legend. Now the reason Weston wins. For Weston, upset of a top 10 team, move to 5-1, nationally respect skyrockets, likely top 10 ranking incoming. For NFL scouts, this changes the conversation. Game manager, playmaker, mid-round, day 2 lock, leadership and mobility on full display. This feels like his career game, the moment fans remember forever, the highlight every draft analyst replays. So what happens next? As the season went on, they won again, but then lost to Titusville Knights, who were also ranked. Then Weston would win, and he would have another great performance as Weston 72 was ranked 16 again, was playing against number 8 Adamsville, who was 8-1. This was at a neutral field, by the way. He would have 5 touchdowns again, and he would win the game 42-35. Then Weston won again and was getting ready for a big showdown in rivalry week. They were 9-2, ranked number 13 in the nation, and they were going against number 1 in the nation, Downtown Musketeers, who were undefeated. It was a great game, but the Musketeers won 42-35. Weston would now have to wait for a bowl game. They had 2 conference losses, and Inslee 11-1 had 1, which put Inslee in the conference championship game against Titusville 11-1. This is turning into a classic senior year legend run, even without the conference title. So the 2020 season continued. Weston Panthers QB the mid-season stretch. After the Inslee upset, Weston wins again, then lost to ranked Titusville Knights. Another quality loss, but no collapse. They're now 6-2, right? Then they win again, and this is another resume game. The performance: 5 total touchdowns, offensive shootout. Weston wins 42-35. This confirms officially the Inslee game was not a fluke. He's now a big game QB. Late season push. Weston wins again, record 9-2, ranking climbs to number 13. Rivalry week. Number 13 Weston versus number 1 Downtown Musketeers. This is the measuring stick. Back and forth, elite atmosphere. QB plays well, but Downtown's depth and talent show late. Final. Downtown 42, Weston 35. No embarrassment, just a heavyweight loss. So here's the conference picture. Weston finishes 9-3 overall regular season, 2 conference losses. Inslee finishes 11-1, 1 conference loss. Titusville also 11-1. The conference championship. Inslee versus Titusville. Weston narrowly left out despite 2 top 10 wins and 1 top 10 loss by 1 score. What this means for his legacy. Stat narrative. Implied. Multiple 5 TD games. Signature upset versus number 7. Beat number 8. Competitive versus number 1. Clear upward trend in senior year. Draft stock ship. Entered season 3rd, 4th round. After 2020 firm. Day 2 QB. Possibly late 2nd round. Seen as experienced, clutch, mobile. Proven against elite competition. Program impact. Never won a conference championship. Never reached the playoff. But one of the best QBs Weston's ever had. That the bridge between the Heisman era and the modern Panthers. Now this sets up a huge bowl game, national stage, final college game, draft stock opportunity. Who do they play and how does it fit? So Inslee won the conference championship, by the way, and now it was time for the Heisman finalists and bowl matchups. So here's how it happens for us. So conference. The Inslee Seahawks, I don't know why it says Bengals, defeat the Titusville Knights. Inslee finishes 12-1. The conference championship, of course, they're in the playoff. And yes, New Year's 6th level team in your playoff. Weston, they're 9-3, ranked around 12 or 15. They're 14, but no title, but elite resume. So the Heisman Trophy finalist 2020. Heisman finalist number 1, Downtown Musketeers QB. Number 1 team, big stats, beat Weston rivalry. So they got that right. The Inslee, I don't know why they say Bengals, Seahawks QB. No. Conference champion, only one loss, beat Weston earlier in the season. No, that was East Inslee. Adamsville star, QB or RB. 8-1, entering Weston game, strong national profile. The QB won't be a Heisman finalist until 2 years later. Weston Panthers QB, multiple 5 TD games, 2 top 10 wins, signature upset versus number 7 Inslee. COVID year narrative, senior leadership. Even if he doesn't win, being a finalist is huge for his legacy, boosts draft stock, and separates him from very good QBs. So let's see. The bowl matchups likely New Year's 6 level or top tier bowl. Opponents possibilities. SEC style powerhouse with 3 losses. Big Ten continue another top 15 program. Example. Number 13, West End versus Lakeview, no. Or 14, West End versus Northgate Village, no. This becomes his final audition, a chance to end with 10 wins, potentially the best QB season in West End history, not named the Heisman legend. So that's the narrative. So let's see. East Inslee was one of their losses. One of their losses was 10-2. So updated conference. East Inslee Bengals were 10-2, right? Still, no, they weren't conference championships. Titusville Knights were 11-1. West End Panthers 9-3, 2 conferences, barely on the outside. No, the Heisman finalists are still wrong. There we go. East Inslee is different from Inslee. Inslee was 12-1 when they beat Titusville. All right, so the Inslee Seahawks were 12-1 conference champions, beat Titusville 11-1 in the conference championship, lost only 1 regular season game, which was to West End. They were a legit elite team playoff film. East Inslee Bengals 10-2, ranked earlier in the season, one of West End's losses. Not the same team as Inslee, right? Titusville Knights were 11-2, lost conference title game to Inslee. West End Panthers 9-3, losses to East Inslee, Titusville, and the number 1 team in the nation, Downtown Musketeers. Their big wins were over Inslee and Adamsville. It's a brutal schedule. No bad losses, but multiple elite wins. So, what was it? This now makes it look even stronger. They beat Inslee, top 10 team. They beat Adamsville. So, what happens? No. So the Weston QB was picked as a Heisman finalist along with Shays Valley Ravens QB, Downtown QB, and Magic City Cardinals QB. So the 2020 Heisman Trophy finalists, the actual ones. The Weston Panthers QB, senior year, COVID year, team record was 9-3, signature wins, and the upset over number 7 Inslee, and the win over number 8 Adamsville. Multiple 5 TD performances, clutch moments like the walk-off TD. Narrative: the patient backup who stayed, led, and delivered. Shades Valley Ravens QB was also a redshirt, which I'll get into this next. And he was likely a high-volume passer, big stats highlights play, probably carried his team to double-digit wins, an eye test candidate. The Downtown Musketeers QB of the number 1 team in the nation, beat West End in rivalry week, championship/playoff trajectory, most complete resume. And the Magic City Cardinals QB, dynamic, electric playmaker, possibly dual threat, carried Magic City through a tough schedule, big moments, and nationally televised games. So what this means for the West End QB, even without winning, Heisman finalist, program immortality, forever mentioned with the 2013 legend, confirms that 2020 wasn't just hot streaks. NFL scouts now view him as battle-tested, big game proven, mentally tough. So here's the likely outcome. So the Heisman winner was the Shades Valley QB. He was leading the 12-1 conference champions at number 4 in the playoffs against the Downtown Musketeers, 13-0. Shades Valley only loss was to the Musketeers, so it was a rematch. I will tell you about the Shades Valley QB after we get done. The Magic City QB was leading a 13-0 ranked number 2 to the playoffs. West End QB was 3rd in the Heisman voting. So let's go again. Winner was the Shades Valley Ravens QB. They're 12-1. They're conference champions. They're ranked number 4. The Downtown Musketeers 13-0 early in the year. So they kind of got some stuff right here. So let's go back. Alright. So let's look again. The 2020 Heisman Trophy finalist standings corrected. The winner, Shades Valley Ravens QB, team record 12-1, conference champions, ranked number 4, only lost to the Downtown Musketeers. Heisman voters loved his signature wins plus leadership story. So let's do the order again. Heisman voting order. Number 1, the Shades Valley Ravens QB is the Heisman winner. And number 2 is the Downtown Musketeers QB, 13-0, ranked number 2 ranked number 1 in the playoffs, and a dominant undefeated team. At number 3, you have the West End Panthers QB, 9-3, legendary senior season, a big game resume. At number 4 was the Magic City Cardinals QB, 13-0, ranked number 1, dominant stats, and playoff contender. So, outside of the playoffs and another thing, and let's get back to the West End Panthers QB. The Western Panthers QB then won the Conference Player of the Year, and then in the bowl game played good, and they're ranked number 14 against number 11 Pleasant Grove Purple Spartans. They won 31-28. They ended with 10 wins, first 10-win season since 2013, where that team was 13-1 with the Heisman winner. He was then picked the 6th pick in the NFL draft. Perfect capstone in his college career. The West End Panthers QB 2020 senior year recap. Achievements. He was a Heisman finalist, 3rd in voting, Conference Player of the Year, multiple signature big game performances, 5 TD games versus number 7 Inslee and number 8 Adamsville, a walk-off TD versus the Inslee Seahawks, close one-score game versus number 1 Downtown Musketeers, their bowl victory versus the 11th ranked Pleasant Grove Purple Spartans. The final score was 31-28. Clutch leadership and solid stats. The team achievement, 10-win season. First 10-win season for West End since 2013. Heisman year, 13-1. Program recognition restored. National ranking number 14. Their draft result. Number 6 overall pick in the NFL draft. His legacy was sealed. One of the best QBs in West End history. The QB who followed a Heisman legend and carved his own name. This season perfectly tells the story of patience from freshman backup 2015 to mature clutch senior leader 2020. Wins the respect of fans, scouts, teammates. Leaves college with top accolades and an elite draft spot. This is basically textbook ultimate senior redemption arc in your fantasy college football universe. Now we can deep dive into Shades Valley's QB, his playoff run, see how the Heisman winner season and story compares to West End. It'll make your universe feel fully fleshed out. So yeah, so you'll see me talk about the Shays Valley QB. Yes. So this Shays Valley QB also came in 2015, but also another quarterback who would be the starter over him. While being a backup, he watched the QB before him get to the playoffs in 2015, including the conference championship where they were 12-2 overall and lost in the semifinals to the 2015 champions, the Magic City Cardinals. In 2016, that QB went 12-2, lost 2 regular season games, and then won the conference championship and won their bowl game. Then 2017 went 9-4, lost the bowl game. Then 2018 went 12-2, lost conference and won their bowl game. And then the year 2019, the QB was the Heisman Trophy winner, where he led the 12-1 Ravens to the playoffs, and they won the semis against Downtown and won the championship against the Cardinals. So now the QB got his chance, as he has 2 more years of eligibility left and was behind a legend. So here's the Shays Valley Ravens QB career path. 2015 to 2018, the watching years. He joined Shays Valley in 2015, back up to another QB who started each season, observed the program's highs and lows, took team to a 12-2, lost semifinals to Magic City Cardinals. 2016, 12-2, lost 2 regular season games, won conference and bowl game. 2017, 9-4 season that was basically a down year. 2018, they were 12-2, lost conference championship game, and won bowl game. Learned playoff poise, leadership mechanics, basically mentorship under pressure. 2019, the QB before him wins Heisman Trophy. The leads the Ravens 12-1. Ravens semifinal win versus Downtown. The conference championship win versus the Magic City Cardinals. Leaves a massive legacy. Our QB is still waiting his turn now with 2 years of eligibility left. 2020, the first year starting, comes into his own after years of being a backup. Brings veteran knowledge learned from the previous QB, highs and lows, seen as mentally tough, clutch ready, experience in high games. So now listen. So if you remember from the West End story, he won the Heisman that year. Ah, yes, I remember that year. In your West End QB story, the 2020 winner, the Heisman winner in 2020 was actually Shays Valley QB, not West End, and your West End QB finished third in the voting. Shays Valley QB, his 2020 not really his final year, 2020 senior/final year, took over as starter after being a backup since 2015, backed up the Heisman winning quarterback in 2019. His program expectations were sky high. Shays Valley had been consistently elite. He had learned playoff poise, clutch performance, and leadership from watching the previous starter. So his Heisman season. Team record was 12-1, conference champions, defining wins, big game victories versus other top teams, including rematch games. Heisman voters rewarded team success, signature plays, leadership. Beat out other finalists: Downtown QB, Magic City QB, and West End QB. West End QB also had a huge 2020 year. Signature upset over number 7 Ensley, 5 TD games, walk-off TD, bowl win over number 11 Pleasant Grove, finished third in Heisman voting, conference player of the year, and drafted 6th overall. Shays Valley QB winning the Heisman emphasizes that West End QB had an elite season, but Shays Valley's QB team success and narrative edged him out. Both QBs had legend in the making arcs, but Shays Valley got the national award. So now we're fully covered. Shays Valley QB Heisman winner, West End QB third place, conference player of the year, bowl win, draft number 6. So he only backed up one QB, which was the 2019 champion, who was there since 2015. Both were there in 2015. So the QB was the oldest player in college football in 2020. He then lost to Downtown in the semifinals, and Downtown won the championship. He could have been the number 1 draft pick in 2021 in the 2021 draft, but he chose to come back for his last year of eligibility. He then led the team to an undefeated season and another championship. His wide receiver, who was a senior, won the Heisman, and he was second behind him. They went 15-0 in the 2021 season. Oh yes, the legendary stuff. The Shays Valley QB now reads like a college football immortality. The ultimate patience, experienced leader. So Shades Valley QB, full senior and super senior start. Early career, 2015. Joined Shades Valley in 2015. Backed up the 2019 Heisman winning QB, the starter who had been there since 2015. He learned the program, playoffs, clutch situations. He was the oldest player in college football by 2020. In 2019, he became... No, he wasn't the starter. In 2020, he was starter. His draft projection after 2020 could have been number 1 overall in the 2021 draft. Instead, he returns for his final year. 2021 season, legendary year, he led the Shades Valley Ravens to an undefeated season, 15-0, won national championship. His wide receiver, who was a senior, wins Heisman. QB finished second in the Heisman voting. Complete domination, perfect season, and leadership at the highest level. So what was it? His legacies, his storytelling takeaways, his patience and loyalty. Spent 5 years learning behind a Heisman winner. Experience, oldest player in college football, clutch, calm under pressure. His draft status, he was likely the number 1 overall pick after the 2021 season. Team success, national champion, undefeated, 15-0, multiple signature wins in high-stakes games. His narrative impact, perfect foil to the West End QB story. Both QBs had massive senior years, but Shades Valley's QB's team success edged out the Heisman. Comparison with the West End QB. Attribute, record in senior year, national recognition, conference title, draft outcome, signature story. West End QB was 10-3, Shades Valley QB 15-0, national recognition, third in Heisman, second in Heisman, team wide receiver 1. Conference title, no. Shades Valley, yes. Draft outcome, 6 overall, likely number 1 overall. Signature story, upset wins, clutch plays, walk-off TD, patience leader, undefeated national championship. He led the team in 2020 and 2021. In 2019, he was back up to the legend who won the Heisman and championship. So 2015 through 2018, backup years. Joined Shades Valley in 2015, backed up that QB who would win the Heisman in 2019. Learned the program, playoffs, clutch situations, and leadership. By 2018, fully developed, still waiting his turn. 2019, behind the legend. Starter was the Heisman winning QB. The team record 12-1, won conference championship, won national championship. Shades Valley's QB backup, watched and learned. Draft projection not relevant, still waiting. 2020, first year as Q starter. QB takes over after Heisman winner graduates. Team record 12-1, conference champions, lost semifinals to Downtown. Downtown went on to win the championship. Could have declared for draft, projected number 1 pick, but returned for final year of eligibility. Senior leadership, experience, clutch performance. 2021, legendary final year, led Shades Valley Ravens to undefeated 15-0 season. Won national championship, wide receiver senior, won Heisman. QB finished second in Heisman voting. Draft outcome, likely number 1 overall pick. Legacy, ultimate patient, prepared leader, waited his turn, didn't dominate. Here's the key takeaways. Backed up a legend, became a legend himself. 2-year starting stretch, 2020, 12-1, 2021, 15-0. So he was 27-1 as a starter. Never rushed, fully utilized, experience, playoffs, leadership. Parallel to the story to West End, but with slightly more team success. If you want to compare the West End QB and Shades Valley QB career side by side? No. So the West End QB played more games. He was a starter for 3 years. Let's see. 8 plus 9 plus 10. That's 27. So the West End QB won 27. Was 27 and let's see. So 4 plus 5 is 9. Plus 3 was 27-12 as a starter. And the Shades Valley QB was 27-1 as a starter for only 2 years. That is insane. Well, that is my video for today. Is my fantasy football QB stories. So I will talk more about my fantasy football stories, and I can't wait to talk more about those. Well, it's been your boy JG Tennis, and peace out. Real quick, you remember Super Crab? Yeah, you're talking about Super Crab, right? That nickname usually pops up for Shaquille O'Neal from his younger days. Early in his career, especially with the Orlando Magic, Shaq had that super wide, low, always sideways defensive stance that people joked looked like a giant crab sliding across the floor, hence Super Crab. It became kind of a playful way to describe how dominant and physically overwhelming he was, especially moving laterally for someone his size. If that's not the one you meant, tell me the context, game, meme, someone you know, etc. Because Super Crab gets used in a few different ways. My superhero. Oh yeah, you're a superhero. You're a Super Crab. That's not just a nickname, that's a whole identity. The way I read it, Super Crab is you at your best, low, quick, locked in, impossible to get past, especially on a tennis court. That wide base, explosive moment, side to side, always ready, like nothing's getting by you. It fits your game, honestly. Defense turning into offense, grinding out points, making people hit one more ball until they break. If you lean into it more, Super Crab could be like your alter ego in tight matches, the version of you that shows up in tiebreakers, 13-11 type energy, the mindset where you can't miss, the mindset where you don't miss, don't panic, don't fold, low stance, fast feet, no fear. Why was Captain America Civil War such a good movie? Because Captain America Civil War isn't really just another superhero movie, it's a character driven, conflicted disguise as a blockbuster. What makes it hit so hard? It's a real ideological fight, not good versus evil. The core clash between Captain America and Iron Man actually makes sense on both sides. Cap equals freedom. Don't let governments control heroes. Tony equals accountability. Too much damage has been done. You can generally agree with one another, which makes the conflict feel real instead of forced. Personal stakes. Better than world-ending stakes. The emotional core, especially around Bucky Barnes, is what drives everything. It's not about saving the planet. It's about loyalty, guilt, and truth. The final reveal hits because it's personal. The villain wins without brute force. Helmut Zemo doesn't try to overpower the Avengers, he breaks them from the inside. That's way more interesting than a typical big CGI fight villain. The airport battle is pure payoff. That scene works because you actually care about everyone fighting. Plus, it introduces Spider-Man and Black Panther in a way that feels natural, not forced. It balances tone really well. You get humor, action, and heavy emotion without it feeling messy. That's tough to pull off, and it's something the MCU does at its best here. It changes the MCU going forward. After this, the Avengers are fractured. That directly sets up movies like Avengers Infinity War where that division actually matters. At the end of the day, it works because it treats superheroes like people with beliefs, flaws, and consequences, not just fighters. If you had to pick, are you Team Cap or are you Team Iron Man? We'll never know.